My love for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles goes way back. I've actually got an old VHS tape from when I was 3 years old on Christmas Day showing me absolutely losing it over TMNT toys. That excitement has stayed with me all these years, and I'm still just as hyped to pick up any TMNT merch that comes my way. When it comes to the games, though, I didn't have a ton of them growing up. I had TMNT Tournament Fighters for the Super Nintendo and a couple of the Game Boy titles, but I didn't get my hands on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time until the year 2000. That's right, it wasn't until then that I finally played this classic, and I had never heard of it before then. I never saw the arcade cabinet either, which is wild to think about now. It's honestly mind-blowing. Now let's dive into the game itself. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. This title is often regarded as one of the best TMNT games, and for good reason. First, let's talk about the gameplay. Turtles in Time is a side-scrolling beat-em-up, which is exactly what you want from a TMNT game. You get to choose between Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, each with their own unique moves and weapons. Combat is a smooth, fast, and satisfying, making it easy to pull off combos and take down waves of enemies. The controls are responsive, and the moveset feels deep enough to keep things interesting but still accessible for newcomers. The level variety is another highlight. You've got everything from futuristic cities and pirate ships to prehistoric jungles, and even a trip to the far-off future. Each level has its own set of challenges and enemies, which keeps the action feeling fresh. Pacing is spot on too. There's just enough variety in enemy types and level designs to keep you engaged without feeling like things drag on. Now let's talk about the soundtrack because Turtles in Time absolutely nails it. The music reminds you of the show so much, and its energetic mix of catchy, upbeat tunes that perfectly complement the fast-paced gameplay with that hint of Konami sound. The opening theme in particular is a banger, immediately pumping you up for the action ahead, whether you're battling it out in the neon-lit future city or duking it out with Bebop and Rocksteady on a pirate ship. The music just adds to the intensity. It's got that nostalgic 90s vibe, but it also holds up today as being one of the most iconic soundtracks in TMNT gaming. I still find some of the soundtrack in my music playlists. Visually, Turtles in Time is stunning for its time. The Super Nintendo was not the most powerful console out there, but the game's graphics really pushed it to the limit. The character sprites are colorful, highly detailed, and easily recognizable. The turtles themselves have a ton of personality, with their animation really bringing them to life. Whether it's Donatello swinging his bow staff or Michelangelo pulling off a spin move with his nunchucks, the backgrounds are rich and diverse, from the futuristic cities to the wild, prehistoric jungles. The level of detail in each environment adds to the immersion, making every stage feel unique. The enemy design are also great, with some creative choices like the mutant dinosaurs in the prehistoric level and the gang of pirate thugs you face later in the game. Bosses are big, bold, and just as memorable as the turtles themselves. It's clear that a lot of love went into making the game visually stunning. But what really stands out is the smoothness of the animation. The SNES hardware was well utilized here, delivering fluid movement even when there are tons of enemies on screen. Everything feels like it's moving in sync, which makes the chaotic battles feel more controlled and enjoyable. But how is the SNES game compared to the arcade counterpart? I find it more superior than the arcade cabinet. For one, the SNES version includes extra levels that really expand the experience. The addition of the Shredder boss fight is a huge plus. It's a bit of a standout moment in the game that wasn't present in the arcade. And if you played the prehistoric Turtlesaurus level, you'll know it's so much better without that weird slime boss from the arcade. Instead, we get a much more memorable, albeit tough as nails, boss fight with Slash, who was actually in the cartoon. But the real cherry on top, the pirate level. Instead of facing off against Toka and Rezar, you get to take on Bebop and Rocksteady dressed as pirates. That's just the perfect TMNT touch, giving it that unique, wacky flair the series is known for. I mean, who else would think to put Bebop and Rocksteady in pirate outfits? Only the Turtles. Even though I didn't get to experience Turtles in Time in its prime, I'm really grateful that I had the chance to play it later in life. By the time the PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 were starting to come to their own conclusion, the Super Nintendo was pretty much considered an outdated console. As a kid, I thought it might never see the light of day again, but in 2000, this game gave my old SNES just a little bit more life. Fast forward to today, and my childhood Super Nintendo is still going strong and actually playing a key part in making all my videos. There was a time when it was tucked away in a box, forgotten, but Turtles in Time breathed some new life into it, just for a little while longer, until it found itself back in its box again. I'll always love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, and I think it's part of the reason I never quite forgot about my SNES. And hey, don't forget to stay hydrated, and of course, don't forget to say goodbye.